Welcome to the deep dive. You know, usually when we talk about some massive technological shift, the instinct is to, well, just build a bunker.
Yeah, totally. A very thick bunker.
Right. Like, think about the conversations happening in your own office right now. Whenever artificial intelligence entering the workplace comes up, the underlying narrative is almost always about defense.
hmm
We ask ourselves, like, where can I hide?
Right. Which department is the safest?
Exactly. How thick do I need to pour the concrete around my daily tasks so the algorithms just can't reach me?
It really is this survivalist mentality applied to the 9 to 5 workday. I mean, we look for that one corner of the organization where we can just remain invisible to the technology, just hoping the wave passes over us.
Completely. But today, we are digging into a really fascinating document titled AI Proofing Your Career, a framework for what to build, which honestly completely flips that survivalist script on its head.
It really does. It takes a completely different angle.
Now, this was originally written as source material for healthcare administrators, specifically looking at how they should, position themselves over the next 5 years. But the core strategic framework here is universal.
Absolutely universal.
So the mission for our deep dive today is to extract this framework and show you, the listener, exactly how to apply it to your career, regardless of your industry.
Yeah, and the text starts with this highly contrarian premise. It argues that to thrive in a workplace where AI is handling more and more of the daily workflow, you actually do not need to constantly chase every single new software update.
Oh, wow. So no keeping up with the endless feature drops.
Right, exactly. You don't need to become this prompt engineering wizard with a dozen new tools. What you need is a deliberate strategy built on two very specific categories of skills.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even look at those specific skills, we have to define what we're actually trying to achieve here. And I'm going to push back a little on the phrasing, actually.
Sure, go for it.
Isn't AI proof just, corporate shorthand for please don't let a robot take my job?
What's fascinating here is that the source directly confronts that anxiety. And the definition it provides is really surprising. Being AI-proof does not mean avoiding AI. It doesn't mean finding an AI-free job, and it certainly doesn't mean banking on the hope that your specific corner of the industry is going to be magically ignored by technology. The real threat, according to the framework, isn't that a job is going to suddenly vanish into thin air tomorrow.
Well, wait, so if it's not the job disappearing, where's the pressure actually coming from?
The pressure comes from what the author calls the third category of skills.
Third category.
Yeah, these are the tasks that AI can do nearly as well or even better than a human being when given enough data.
So we're talking about like summarizing basic data, generating standard report.
Exactly. Routine transactional work. That is where the ground is shifting. Not because the role is gone, but because the competitive expectation for what one single person can produce is going to just skyrocket.
Wait, let me stop you right there. If the baseline for what one person can produce skyrockets because of AI, doesn't that just mean we are all doing 3 times the work for the exact same pay?
Yeah, I hear that.
That doesn't sound like a win. That sounds exhausting.
It is a very valid concern, and honestly, it's exactly why this framework was developed in the first place. The pressure isn't necessarily about working longer hours.
Yes.
It's about the expectation of output value. If a tool can summarize 50 pages of market research in 4 seconds,
Right.
your manager is no longer going to praise you for spending 3 days doing it manually. The value of that specific transactional task plummets to near zero.
That makes total sense. So an AI-proof career simply means your value does not shrink as AI gets smarter.
Exactly. You hold your value.
Okay, let's apply that to a real-world scenario.
Yeah.
If everyone has a calculator, being the person who can do long division on paper doesn't really make you valuable anymore.
No, not at all.
You have to be the person deciding what to calculate. So if the transactional, data-heavy work is going to be handled by AI, what is actually left for us?
Which brings us to the first pillar of this framework. Category 1, the human-to-human skills.
Human to human. Got it.
Yeah. These are the elements of your job that AI simply cannot perform. They are deeply nuanced, you cannot easily teach them from a textbook, and they absolutely cannot be automated.
The source provides several incredibly concrete examples from healthcare administration. But as we go through these, I want you listening to think about how perfectly they translate to your specific field.
Oh, they map onto pretty much any corporate environment perfectly.
Right. So the first one is reading a room. The text gives this example of walking into a staff meeting and knowing within 30 seconds that the nursing director is frustrated about something completely off agenda.
Yeah, that unspoken tension.
Exactly. You have to adjust your entire approach before she even says a single word.
And let's break down the mechanics of how a human actually does that. You are simultaneously processing microexpressions, shifts in posture, the tension in the air.
The vibes, basically.
Exactly, the vibes. Plus, the historical context of your relationship with that specific director. Maybe she had a staffing crisis the night before. No AI can process that localized, immediate, unspoken human friction.
Right. It can't read the air in the room.
It requires a level of physical and emotional presence that an algorithm fundamentally lacks.
Another scenario the text explores is holding hard conversations, which nobody really loves doing.
No, they are the worst.
But imagine having to deny a department head's passionate request for additional staffing. The goal isn't just to say no. It's to deliver the denial in a way that keeps the professional relationship intact so they actually show up motivated the next day.
Which is where the limitation of the technology becomes painfully obvious. I mean, the AI can analyze the quarterly budget perfectly. It can tell you with mathematical certainty why the staffing request should be denied. It can even draft the most polite, corporate-approved talking points for the rejection email.
But it can't actually do the hard part.
Right. It cannot sit across the desk and navigate the emotional fallout. It cannot validate the department head's frustration, and it cannot bear the emotional weight of holding the line.
I really like to think of AI as the ultimate corporate teleprompter.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, like it can give you the absolute perfect talking points. It can crunch all the variables to give you the smartest strategy, but it cannot bear the weight of a hard decision. It cannot actually sit in the room and be you.
That accountability is uniquely human. The text also highlights navigating ambiguity as a core Category 1 skill.
Right, because things are rarely black and white.
Exactly. Most real administrative decisions, really, most leadership decisions in any industry, are made when information is inherently incomplete. You have competing interests that are both entirely valid.
And there's no clean mathematical right answer to optimize for.
None. The human skill is making a defensible judgment call in the gray area and personally owning the consequences of that choice.
The text also focuses on building trust over time, being the person whose calls get returned on the first ring. And why does that happen? Because of years of consistency, following through on the small moments.
Remembering a detail from a previous meeting.
Yes. AI cannot hack trust. Trust is a long, slow accumulation of authentic human interaction. And finally, the text mentions public representation, being the human face of an organization at board presentations, community town halls, or high-stakes donor conversations.
Look at the pattern across all these examples. Reading the room, hard conversations, building trust, navigating ambiguity, public representation. They all involve complex judgment, relational awareness, situational context, and physical presence.
It's all the messy human stuff.
Exactly. As the transactional work gets automated away, your relational work becomes the most visible and the most valuable thing you bring to the table. It is no longer just a soft skill. It becomes the core operational skill of your career.
So, if human connection is the ultimate shield, the obvious question is, why not just focus entirely on being a great people person?
Right. Just become the ultimate schmoozer.
Yeah. Why not just spend all day shaking hands, reading rooms, and navigating those complex relationships?
Because being a highly empathetic communicator is not going to save you if you are drowning in a sea of work.
Ah, yeah, the actual deliverable.
All right, if you are entirely focused on relationships, but it takes you 3 times as long as your peers to produce the written deliverables, the strategic plans, and the data reports that actually support those relationships.
You're going to fall behind rapidly.
Exactly. You need a multiplier effect.
Which perfectly transitions us to the second pillar of the framework. Category 2, the human to AI skills.
Yes.
These are the skills that only exist because the technology exists. And the text emphasizes that this isn't about being a computer scientist. It is about fluency in a new medium.
Right. And rather than just listing these skills out, let's look at how they actually function in the life cycle of a real task.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine you are tasked with overhauling a massive quarterly report for your department. The process starts with the first human to AI skill, which is prompt construction.
And prompt construction is not just typing a lazy question into a chat box.
No, not at all.
Why is it so crucial to set strict constraints?
Because an unconstrained AI will give you generic, hallucinated, or completely unhelpful fluff.
Just a wall of buzzwords.
Basically, yeah, constructing a prompt means explicitly setting the role you want the AI to play, the highly specific context of your organization, the parameters of what it should ignore, and the exact output format you need. You are essentially briefing a very fast, very literal intern.
Okay, so once you give that brief, the AI spits out a response, which brings us to the next skill, iteration.
Yes, iteration is huge.
The worst thing you can do is accept the first output as the final product, right?
Oh, absolutely. The skill is treating the interaction like a dynamic conversation. You review the draft, you push back on weak arguments, you ask it to expand on a specific data point, and you refine the prompt to get something genuinely useful.
This leads directly into the most critical step of the entire process, which is verification. You must operate under the assumption that AI can and will be confidently wrong.
Oh, 100%.
I have to jump in here, actually, because this is where things get really dangerous. I had this happen recently.
Oh, really? What happened?
I was pulling together some background research, and the AI handed me this incredibly specific, highly relevant statistic about remote work productivity.
Sounds perfect.
It looked perfect. It sounded authoritative. I was minutes away from dropping it into a final slide deck. But I don't know, something felt slightly off, so I searched for the primary source.
And let me guess, it wasn't there.
The study didn't exist. The AI had completely fabricated the author, the journal, and the data, all with absolute unwavering confidence.
Wow. Which illustrates exactly why verification is arguably the most critical human-to-AI skill. You cannot outsource your critical thinking.
You really can't.
The human operator must have the discipline to check the output against primary sources, current data, and their own professional judgment.
Right. And then, once verified, you move to the editing phase. You have to massage that AI-generated draft so it actually matches your specific voice and your organization's cultural standards. It cannot sound like a machine wrote it.
Definitely not. And the final piece of the Category 2 puzzle is workflow integration and tool selection. This is knowing when to use AI and, critically, when not to.
It requires understanding the landscape, right? You have to know
Yes.
the difference between using a basic chat interface for quick brainstorming versus using a dedicated research tool like NotebookLM versus setting up an agentic workflow.
Exactly.
Wait, let's pause on agentic workflow, because that sounds like heavy technical jargon. What do they actually mean for the average professional?
Think of an agentic workflow as giving the AI a broad goal and letting it independently figure out the multi-step process to get there.
Oh, okay, so it's not just a back-and-forth chat.
Right. Instead of asking it one question at a time, you're saying, here's our objective, here are the data sets, go analyze the data, draft the report, flag any inconsistencies, and create a summary.
Wow, so it's doing a whole sequence.
Yeah, it acts as an autonomous agent completing a sequence of tasks, rather than just waiting for your next prompt. NotebookLM, on the other hand, is a tool where you upload your own specific documents, your company's PDFs, your own notes, so the AI only synthesizes and answers questions based on the trusted information you provided.
Which drastically reduces the chance of those hallucinations we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's a closed system.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The source explicitly notes that these human-to-AI skills compound.
They do.
It is not just about doing the exact same amount of work so you can go home an hour early.
The compounding effect fundamentally changes the nature of your role. A professional with strong human-to-AI skills takes on significantly harder, more complex work. They produce a higher volume of quality output without working longer hours.
And crucially, they use the time they save to actually perform those high-level Category 1 human-to-human skills we just analyzed.
Yes, the AI skills literally buy you the time to be more human.
So we have these two pillars. Category 1, human connection, complex judgment, and emotional presence. Category 2, AI fluency, prompt construction, verification, and workflow integration. What happens if you index too heavily on just one of them?
The text provides a very stark warning about this imbalance. If you build a career only on human-to-human skills, you become incredibly vulnerable.
Because you're too slow.
Exactly. You will be outpaced by peers who are just as good at the human relationships as you are, but who are infinitely faster at producing the written deliverables required to support them.
You become the person everyone loves chatting with at the meeting, but everyone is waiting 3 weeks for your strategic proposal.
Right, whereas the person next to you had it finished and distributed by lunch.
Yeah, that's not a great look.
But consider the inverse scenario. If you build a career only on human-to-AI skills, you hit a hard ceiling very quickly. You become the person who generates the fastest memos, the absolute cleanest data reports, the quickest turnarounds. But you completely fail to advance in your career because no one trusts you to actually run a high-stakes meeting, navigate a team conflict, or represent the department when things get politically difficult.
Because you haven't built the trust.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text uses a brilliant phrase that really captures this dynamic. AI skill without human skill is productivity without influence.
Productivity without influence.
Ah.
Well, let's really think about that. You are a highly efficient machine, churning out perfect documents. But you have absolutely no gravitational pull in the organization.
None at all.
People don't trust machines to lead. They trust humans. So what does this all mean? It means the ultimate goal, the actual definition of an AI-proof career, is the deliberate synthesis of both pillars.
It's bringing them together.
Right. By combining the human judgment that no tool can replace with the AI fluency that multiplies your output, you make yourself difficult to replace and hard to outpace.
It is the ultimate professional sweet spot. But, the framework comes with a vital caveat. Neither of these skill categories builds itself by accident.
Right, you don't just wake up with them.
No, you cannot just passively absorb them by sitting in an office chair for 5 years. You have to practice them on purpose, deliberately.
And deliberate practice usually means doing things that are inherently uncomfortable. The source is very clear that building those Category 1 human-to-human skills requires friction. You have to actively put yourself in the rooms that require them.
It means volunteering to lead the difficult team conversation about budget cuts when everyone else is avoiding eye contact.
Yeah, leaning into the awkwardness.
Exactly. It means asking to present your findings to the board instead of just emailing the slide deck, taking on a messy committee role that forces you to navigate unfamiliar, clashing personalities, running the challenging town hall meeting when you could have easily passed the microphone to someone else.
Skill comes from reps, and reps come from saying yes when the much, much easier answer is no.
We often treat soft skills as innate personality traits, like you're either a people person or you aren't. But this framework treats them as muscles. You have to intentionally tear and rebuild them through awkward, uncomfortable situations.
That makes a lot of sense. And that same rigorous intentionality applies to building your Category 2 AI skills, right?
Yeah.
Watching a 5-minute video on prompt engineering is not going to cut it.
Not even close. It requires a daily practice the text calls parallel processing.
Okay, parallel processing. What does that actually look like in a busy daily routine? Because I know what you're thinking listening to this. Who has the time to do a weekly report twice just to practice? You're probably barely getting it done once.
Right. It sounds like a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
But it is an investment of time upfront for a massive return later. Parallel processing means taking a task you would normally do manually and doing it both ways for a short period.
Okay, give me an example.
So you build your weekly update the old-fashioned way, but you simultaneously build an AI project workspace to generate it. Then you compare the difference in speed, tone, and quality.
Oh, I see.
Or you use a tool like Notebook LM to prep for a research-heavy client conversation, even if you could have winged it based on your own knowledge. You run a mock negotiation with a chat tool before the real negotiation.
You are actively forcing the technology into your daily workflow to build the muscle memory.
Exactly. The fluency only comes from those intentional reps.
And to make sure you don't just think about this and move on, the source recommends a highly practical habit. It suggests keeping a running list of your deliberate choices.
I love this part.
Yeah, it's so actionable. For example, jotting down the specific hard conversation you chose to lead instead of avoiding. Or noting the exact task where an AI tool saved you an hour. And this is the crucial part, documenting what high-level human task you actually did with that saved hour.
Right, tracking the reallocation of your time.
Over the course of a year, that running list becomes your AI action plan. It is concrete, undeniable evidence of your professional evolution.
This raises a challenging question for all of us to reflect on, really. How many of us are just defaulting to the skills we already have?
Probably most of us, honestly.
Yeah. How many of us are just blindly hoping that these new AI competencies and these complex human relationship skills will somehow accumulate by accident? The professionals who are going to stand out and lead 5 years from now are the ones who are highly intentional about seeking out that discomfort and rigorously managing their practice today.
It is entirely about taking the steering wheel, rather than just sitting in the passenger seat, watching the technology accelerate around you.
Exactly.
Let's quickly recap the core mission here. The ultimate takeaway from this framework is that you do not need to panic about artificial intelligence. You just need to be deliberate.
Just be deliberate.
You must actively build the things that AI cannot touch.
Right.
Your complex judgment, your emotional presence, your ability to navigate human friction, and simultaneously, you must build the things that AI amplifies, your prompt construction, your rigorous verification, your workflow integration. If you combine those two pillars, you aren't just surviving the technological shift, you're redefining your entire value to the market.
That's the AI-proof career.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder on your own, something that builds on this framework but stretches it a bit further.
Okay.
If artificial intelligence inevitably takes over the cold, robotic, highly transactional tasks of our daily workflow, our daily workflow, and if it forces all of us to double down on empathy, trust building, and complex relational judgment just to stay relevant, does that mean the future of work, driven by machines, will ironically end up being the most fundamentally human workplace we have ever experienced?
It is a profound paradox to consider. The machines might just force us to finally act like humans at work.
We started today talking about the instinct to build a bunker when technology shifts. What this framework shows us is that the bunker is a trap. You don't AI-proof your career by pouring concrete and hiding from the algorithms.
No, you definitely don't.
You do it by stepping out of the bunker, walking to the room, and looking another human being in the eye, while letting the technology handle the paperwork. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Start your running list of deliberate reps today, say yes to the uncomfortable conversations, and we will catch you next time.